Hell's Kitchen Season 23 Episode 15 Review. Well, good people, I initially thought for sure that tonight would be the doubleheader finale for Hell's Kitchen, because that's how it's usually been for the more recent seasons of Hell's Kitchen. But the finale will be next week. So for this review, I will discuss what happened over the course of this episode, I'll talk about the dinner service, tonight's elimination, and I will share my thoughts on what might happen in the finale. So without any further delay, let's jump right in. The first highlight that I want to talk about is the challenge for the episode. It's not much of a challenge like the other challenges that we're used to. In this challenge, Kyle, Egypt, and Hannah have to design an amazing menu with the help of 3 sous chefs. The sous chefs are of course James, Michelle, and Keisha. Kyle randomly picks James, Egypt picks Keisha, and Hannah picks Michelle. Deep down, something tells me that the pairing of these sous chefs may have been predetermined. But this scene was a tad bit disappointing because we really don't get much insight on how the chefs plan to design their menus, aside from Egypt's plan to fuse Mexican and soul food flavors. But it seems like the sous chefs have signed off on Egypt, Hannah, and Kyle's menus. The second highlight for the episode was the remaining chefs being reunited with their families. Hannah was the first to meet her mother and boyfriend, followed by Kyle meeting his mother and his aunt, and Egypt was the last to meet his mother and brother. Out of all the reactions, Egypt seemed the most emotional about his reunion, and who could blame him? His journey from episode 1 to this episode was the hardest out of the remaining chefs, and it seems like all Egypt wanted was to prove his doubters wrong and that he belongs at the top. And historically speaking, when Egypt becomes overly emotional, before or during a dinner service, he either rises to the occasion or he gets in his own way. And that's always been the thing about Egypt. He either gives you his absolute best or he becomes unraveled. The third highlight that I want to talk about is of course the dinner service. Now of course before the dinner service begins, Gordon tries to distract the remaining chefs with a trip down memory lane. But if these chefs have seen any previous seasons of Hell's Kitchen, then they have to know what's coming up. Gordon then springs the news on Egypt, Hannah, and Kyle that they will be competing in the final challenge, and the chefs waste no time getting to work. For this final challenge, the chefs have to cook a 5-course meal with their sous chefs, and the dishes are judged. This part of the episode was of course the most interesting because we get to see the chefs execute their culinary vision for various established legends in the culinary world. For the cold appetizer round, Hannah made a carrot dish, Kyle made a tuna crudo, and Egypt made a Mexican elote salad. The judge had nothing but positive comments to say about all the dishes, but she ultimately gave Kyle a 10, Egypt a 9, and Hannah a 9. For the hot appetizer round, Kyle cooked a pork belly dish, Egypt cooked chicken drumettes, and Hannah made a glazed octopus dish. The judge also gave Kyle a 10, Hannah a 10, and Egypt a 9. So at this point in the challenge, it seemed like Kyle was running away at the top. But then we had the third round, which featured seafood judged by Chef Stephanie, who was notorious for being one of the toughest judges in food competitions. In this round, Chef Stephanie was thoroughly impressed with Egypt's dish, and she gave him a 10, while giving Hannah a 9 and Kyle an 8 because she felt Kyle did too much. In the fourth round, which features chicken, Kyle bounced back with a 10 vote, while Hannah got a 9 and Egypt got an 8. And in the final round, which features steak, Kyle gets a 10, while Egypt and Hannah had a tie score before the judge rendered his vote. The judge gave glowing feedback for both Hannah and Egypt's steak dishes, but he ultimately gave Egypt a 9 while giving Hannah a 10. Which means Hannah and Kyle are in the finale. Now I've been pulling for Egypt to get to the finale for several months now, and I incorrectly predicted that he would make it to the finale. When I initially heard the final judge's score, I immediately went into my conspiracy theory mode and thought that Egypt was slightly cheated because Gordon gave the judge a heads up about the tie score and what score Hannah needed to proceed to the finale. Hannah got that score, and it seemed like Hannah getting a 9 on her steak dish was out of the question. But then I reflected on Egypt's dinner service as a whole. For the final round, I truly love flat iron steaks, but I think Egypt could have chosen a different cut of steak and made it a truly memorable dish for the judge. For his chicken dish, he could have paired a better sauce with the chicken. I mean, this finale truly came down to which chef made the least amount of mistakes. So I say all that to say that Kyle and Hannah deserve to be in the finale. Now speaking of the finale, the episode ends with Kyle and Hannah picking their respective teams. Kyle picks Brandon, Joe, Whit, and Lulu, while Hannah picks Egypt Anne-Marie, Amanda, and Brittany. At first glance, it seems like Kyle has a huge advantage with his team. Joe is the pasta king, Whit made it to the top 4, Brandon got the first black jacket, and Lulu isn't as bad as Anne-Marie. But it also seems like Kyle has his hands full with his team. Lulu historically has issues with communication during dinner service. Brandon and Joe have historically become unraveled during their dinner services, and Whit might still be feeling some type of way that she didn't make it to the finale. We also have Hannah's team, and upon first glance, the team looks very bad. Egypt is a hit or miss during his dinner service. Amanda has been spiraling for the past several weeks during her time in the competition, and Brittany as well as Anne-Marie have shown themselves to be role players that need hand-holding during their dinner services. So when it comes to which chef wins the finale, I think it comes down to which chef can lead their respective team the best while upholding Gordon's standards. The advantage is definitely in Kyle's favor, but Hannah has been an underdog during most of the competition, and she still has something to prove. If the competition is close, I can see Gordon giving the job to Hannah, especially if Hannah could produce a great service with the team that she has. Kyle's team is talented, but it's also full of egos, and in my opinion, it's a ticking time bomb. But we shall see. And this marks the end of my review. Please feel free to leave all comments below in the comment section, and I'll be sure to reply to everybody. Until next time, stay tuned and stay safe. Peace.